میزنم بعدش دوباره شروع این اول شیر بزنم بزن شیر Turn on location services.
Okay.
دست نمیزنی
حتی باید شیر کنی هم باشه الان نفر اون موقع میتونید شیرش کنی دفعه پیش هم این مشکل داشتیم نداشتیم؟
نه اون دفعه مهناز بود زد فکر کنم رفت زنگ بزن بهش
اوکی دوری بچه ما رضا جانم اینجا پلو من هستش ما قسمت اول اشتباه هم بستیم
دکتر سرویس کردیم ما رو
بارگذاری شد
اومد رسید آقا فقط قربون دارم ببین دیگه انگوش توش نکن
ما کردیم
شما کردیم خیلی خوب گوش که فرمان جان
ببخشید این رضا دیگه الان چیز یقه همه رو میگیره ما در دستش خب بعد قسمت دوم دوباره اینجا پخش میکنم آخرش چه
بگو ما الان داریم میریم لایو دیگه بگو الان داریم لایو میریم آره
الان داره لایو میره داره تو بریکینگ بعدش
رضا جون
جانم
اینو که آوردم پنیر رو آوردن این طرف خبر داری؟
Yeah, it's probably muted on the board. Okay.
While there's talking, as soon as you make it,
I guess definitely more cameras. Always more cameras.
Yo solamente me he dicho, no sabes lo que me he dicho. Yo lo que me he dicho solamente es, sería interesante. Nos explica
Ya tengo la cámara.
qué es lo que se necesita. Porque si no, todo esto que se ha dicho, todo esto que se ha dicho.
چیکار باید بکنم؟ یه جای باید اون بالا رو بزنم که قطع بشه. خب زدم اینجا بخش میکنم تیپ زده، نمیدونم چیکار بکنم. قطع شد از این نحیث من. این چسب به حسابی که نمیتونم این چسب رو بکنم.
Porque ese sí. De ella, que te sacaban menos pelos. ¿Sí? No, por eso que ellos no, por eso estaban más enamorados.
بسته شد؟ چی بخیر من بستم، مثلا کل تلفن رو بستم. تلفن چرا گذاشتم ریستش کنم تلفن رو؟ نشد. نمیدونم تلفن اشکال پیدا کرده، نمیدونم چی داره. بس که یه جوری نمیدونم اشکال پیدا کرده از تلفن. اصلا من تلفن دارم ریست میکنم. ریستارت. اصلا تلفن گیر کرده ریستارت نمیکنه. چجوری بمونم؟ گوشی سعی دارم میکنم تلفن هیچ اپشنی من نمیده. این تلفن رو شایدن قاطی کرده. ببینم تلفن چطور میشه هارد ریست کرد، میدونی؟ اوکی تلفن داره ریستارت میشه. قاطی کرده به تلفن. با منی؟ قاطی لایو نمیریم بیرون فکر کنم. نمیدونم الان من تلفنشون ریست کنم. قاطی کرده تلفن اصلا مرتب. قبل ریست کردنش فکر نمی‌کنم از لایو شما رو خارج کنه. رو بعد از خود لایو خارج بشید. حالا صبر کن تلفن برگرده ببینم چی میشه. چرا دیگه وقتی شما کل اپلیکیشن رو ببندی از لایو هم خارج میشه دیگه. حالا صبر کن برگرده ببینیم چی میشه. بذار تو بزنم روی پیس هم صدا نهید بیرون توی چیزا. یه لحظه. تلفنم قدیمی قاطی قاطیه. صدا من داری؟ بله. یه لحظه صبر کن. برو روی پیس هم. اوکی روی پیس هم یادم دیگه توی بیرون نمیشه. یعنی چی؟ من تلفن کامل تازه بستم. یعنی چی؟ اگه میشه همچه لایو باشه چی داری میبینی؟ اگه لایو چطور میتونه باشه؟ تلفن داره استارت میکنه. چه از قدیمی است نمیشه. همه اپا بسته است چی نیست.
تازه نیست. چجوری آمد بلده بشه؟ نه بابا هیچ کی نیست اینجا تمامه، الان تموم شده رفته عزیز من تو سالن هیچ کس نیست. اوکی خب دیگه الان قطع شد دیگه. بعد رضا بگم دوباره چیز کنه اینجا بحثش. چه میدونم چرا من تلفن دیگه ریست کردم، تلفن اشکال پیدا کرد عزیز من. جای عجیب غریبی ما داریم ستاپ میکنیم که خندت میگیره، با چسب و تیپ و داریم جنسا رو میچسبونیم به هم دیگه. ولمون کن تو رو خدا، چرا رو سپایه خاصه این نیاوردن، نده به سپایه دیگه با چسب میچسبونیمش. اصلا give me a fucking break. اومدم میگه رضا میگه خب سپایت کن. خب من مرد حسابی من سپایه بیارم؟ من چی کارم سپایه بیارم؟ فعلا من دارم به زحمت یه گنده بهش میزنم که چیزی باشه، بعدم بیان دوباره ستاپش کنم بریم چی به چی. اصلا خود الان آیکون اینستاگرام باشه عزیزم، ببخشید منم دیگه واقعا اینجا گوزپیچم فدات شم، ببخشید. ممنون از لطفت، خدا نگهدارت.
خانم بیزاد، درود بر شما، رضا هستم. کجا تشریف دارین؟ اوکی، چون من می‌خواستم با اینجا هیچ کس نیست. من باید این درک این که رو می‌فهمم.
با من الان فقط همه سرمو پیدا می‌کنم میرم.
کجا برید شما؟ کجا برید؟
برای میرم.
من تو پگرام می‌بینم.
خودم من تازه دیشب شب آمدم سرمو. آره.
من که سازمان سر همین پشتش رو میکنم من میشه قشنگ‌تر باشه این آرمان رو مجایی نیست درست میکنم اون رو من جمعه
اینجا آدم شده خوبه ولی یه کاری بکن چون اونجا خر تو خره
اینجا بشینی یکی میاد جلو بشینه چرا؟ ببینم ببین مجلس سمت بالا یه زده آمده باید اون رو هم اینجا بشینی نظرم
نه خیلی. قربان شما.
من از قبل از رفتن من از بالا خانم میگیرم
اگر یه چیزی چرا
باشه من بهش بگم میدم قصه من
از وقتی که برای شما اونو میخوام که ببینم چیزی توش نباشه و وکیلتون هم به زمانی که صحبت کرده پیپرورک دیگری خواهد
من سعید من لذت می‌برم استانبول رو زیارت شما میگن با فرمان خیلی فرمان که همین public relations
Thank you.
نمیدونی ولش کن که بچه‌ها
پایین با پلی چیزو بزنی دیگه، فیلمو بزن. آره نه ببخشید پلاس رو باید بزنید شکلش فرق.
آره چجوری میشه لایف؟
لایف خدا فرق میکنه شکلش. اگه کار سلفونش فرق میکنه.
ممنون ازت. بعد اینو باید بزنم که شروع کنه چیز کردن دیگه.
آره دیگه شما بزنید
بزنیم بره
دیگه.
دیگه.
بله وسط باید بزنید. خیلی
What's your volume in the computer? I hear my connector is on. I can hear it at the house. Coming right now. He's coming right now. I can hear it here, but it's something going on with the computer where I can't get it.
1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. You're so welcome. Not a problem. Not a problem. Take your time.
درود مجدد حضور همه دوستان گرامی. بخش دوم نخستین نشست همگرایی و همصدایی همزمان که توسط حزب مشروطه ایران لیبرال دموکرات برگزار میشه رو آغاز میکنیم. سپاسگزاریم از سازمان‌های متعددی که در برگزاری این برنامه با ما همراه بودند. سازمان سرباز، ایران سانس، پروژه امید ایران، انجمن اروپایی ایرانی برای صلح و دوستی، پاکان، شورای مدیریت گذار، سازمان دموکراتیک یارسان، سازمان همبستگی ملی برای ایران، هما، جنبش وحدت ملی ایرانیان، انجمن سکولار دموکرات ایران، اتحاد آغازینو، انجمن خورشید، سازمان اتحاد برای ایران، جنبش زنان ایران، سازمان زنان ایران مقیم آمریکا، گروه خوارزمی، امریکن ایرانیان فور دموکراسی، کانون خلبانان نیروی هوایی شاهنشاهی. در بخش اول دو پنل اول به زبان فارسی بود، پنل سوممون به زبان انگلیسی هست. Today's first two panels were conducted in Persian and our third panel will be in English. It will feature 5 prominent guests who are significant figures within the Iranian and American community. Allow me to introduce and invite the speakers. The Honorable Bijan Kian, who is a twice Senate-confirmed former deputy lead for the Office of Director of National Intelligence for President Trump's transition team in 2016 and 17, and a former senior official of United States government. He led the largest portfolio of foreign investment for the state of California. He is a globally recognized senior executive in national security and trade. Lieutenant Colonel William D. Swanson, Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, and Bronze Star. Senior role in Middle East Defense Intelligence Agency. Liaison between U.S. military and Mexican government, currently active with U.S. government leadership. Nicholas W. Hofgren is a senior executive with experience operating private equity and emerging markets in enterprises. His senior executive experience includes bulge bracket banks like JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and others. He has additional experience in assets and portfolio of assets in the power, extractive, and manufacturing industries. Marcus Benaim, former security analyst for the Israeli government, accomplished author, university professor, and corporate senior executive. He is a strategic advisor to government officials, C-suite, and ultra-high net worth families. And Jordi Groels held executive board member of 21 toll roads companies in 9 countries over 4 continents in 2000-2015. He is a seasoned senior executive on government-regulated, capital-intensive industries, highly exposed to complex negotiations and leadership with awarding and controlling authorities and other stakeholders. I welcome you, gentlemen, please.
Back here to talk about jobs. Good afternoon again. Glad to be back. Thank you for joining us again after lunch, which is a difficult hour. I know some of you had to put in extra energy to back to the auditorium. You know, I have to go back a little bit and give you a little background and then explain to my colleagues who are here what happened in the first 2 panels, which was conducted in beautiful Farsi language, but they had no idea what was being discussed, so I'm going to cover that. But before that, I'm going to take you a little bit even further back and tell you a little bit about who I represent here today. About 7 years ago, Sam Kermani, former Secretary General of the Iranian American Jewish Federation, called me and said, we need to put together an effort to have a thinking place where plans could be developed, issues could be discussed, and things can be done for the Iranian people with a 3-pronged mission that would reflect the voices of those who cannot be heard inside Iran, that we need to be able to support anyone who's supporting the Iranian people with the identity of no longer wanting and accepting the Islamic Republic. They want to keep the territorial integrity, as Saeed Jabari said, it's a non-negotiable issue. And they want to walk towards a secular democracy. And the secular democracy is defined as where the people are in charge, and they have to be satisfied with their government. They decide who governs them and how they governs them, and that's where the bosses are, the people of Iran. They have to be participating in the critical decisions affecting their lives, and this should be measurable. They have to have equal opportunity, not equal wealth or equal income. That's not possible. It was tried and failed time after time. They need to have an equal opportunity in all the critical things in a society, from security to education to healthcare. They have to have equal opportunity, economic opportunity, not the insiders and outsiders. That's the kind of thing that the people of Iran want. They want to have the freedom to choose at all times. And Prince Reza Pahlavi, who is the standard bearer of change today, we all follow his thoughts. Not just a person. This is not a person-centric. He has said it many times. We're moving towards a system-centric. System-centric operates on thoughts. The thoughts that he has put forward today, we're following here. Those are the principles of how we define freedom-seeking people in Iran. So that's what Sam wanted to put together, an organization. Well, an organization needs resources, people, financial resources. We have the people, no financial resources. So Sam taught us how to do things with very little. But very little is essential, and it has to come from people who've been supporting the Institute for Voices of Liberty for the past 7 years. So it's a good opportunity that I would name the individuals who've been supporting the Institute activities. No, we don't receive any government support. No organization, any government supporting the Institute for Voices of Liberty, but the individuals who've been extremely helpful are here today, and I'd like to recognize them. Patricia Houston has been with us for a long time. Patricia Houston has been with us for a long time. She's been a fantastic supporter, steady supporter. Art Fund has been supporting the Institute, Tagi Al-Raza specifically, and Nima Bakhtiari, who's here today. We're grateful to you. Bezat Kiamat, John Torkan, Alex Moradi, Abraham Sinhai, Shahram Yaqubzadeh, and then the Kermanian family themselves, Cody, Betty, and Sam, my dear brother. I'm delighted to see Mr. Afshin Afshinjan here, my dear friend, from all the way from Canada. Thank you. I know what you're doing. You're doing exactly what Prince Reza Pahlavi has said. 5 things that are essential. You're following those agendas. That's what we're doing as well. Hopefully we all do what we can and deliver the success of the standard bearer of change for Iran. Now what I'd like to do is explain these 2 posters that you see on the stage. One in English, the other one in Farsi. For my friends, the one in Farsi says, all together at the same time, we speak. Why? What Islamic Republic today is most afraid of is not that you protest and I protest and I write letters and you write letters and we shout and you shout. Because as long as we don't do it at the same time, it's not going to hurt the Islamic Republic. They are very, very resilient. We each have one arrow in our quiver. If we take these arrows, place them in the bow, and just wait for a command, Colonel Swanson, to be issued, to let go of the arrows all at once, the Islamic Republic will not have a chance. That's what these posters show. The arrow has just one tip, all together at the same time. We have to understand the synchronicity and the impact of what that does. This is something the Islamic Republic is very afraid of. If we don't do that, we each send our single arrow to the heart of Islamic Republic. It won't kill them. They will live enough to torture the Iranian people even more. So let's do that. That's the poster, and that's what it means. That's why the Constitutional Party of Iran, the Institute for Voices of Liberty, and 7th Aban are here today to do what Prince Reza Pahlavi said we need to do, to get ready and say it at the same time, to work together, all following one standard bearer. Why? Because the arrow has just one tip. And that's the way we're moving forward. So what are we here today? We are here today to talk about the issues. Today is the International Day of Women. It's important to recognize if there was one issue inside Iran that is the most unfair, most unjust issue, is how this government for 46 years has been dealing with women. And if you wonder, my dear colleagues on the panel, what was being said on the women's panel, it was all about the fundamental flaw in the society today in Iran is that the religion counts the rights of a woman as those half of that of a man. Now, this is not something unusual in the history. In the United States, women didn't have the right to vote. In Switzerland, women didn't have the right to vote, but many, many years ago, these issues were solved. Society progressed. Women in Iran rose to very important levels of cabinet members. Every place in society, women were leading. And today, a woman has half the rights, only because that's what the religion. So they were talking on the women's panel about the rights of women, about the horrible things that happen that are embedded, entrenched intrinsic to their belief system that honor killings take place in Iran. You wouldn't believe it, but it does. That, uniformed individuals brutally beat up on women. They were talking about all of that. The panel prior to that, and the panel concluded that these things will be stopped by the hands of the women, the brave women of Iran are going to do this. Every day, I want to get up and just bow to the women of Iran. Our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, they're fighting. They're getting shot. They're losing their eyes. So, what are we to do? Get together and see how we can help them. To get rid of this brutal, incompetent, institutionally corrupt Islamic Republic. We need all of them. All of them. And in order to follow the message put forward by Prince Reza Pahlavi, the standard bearer of change, 5 points. One of them is expedite the fallout. How do we do that? By telling a story that says, well, you need to get over it. Those who haven't killed anyone, those who haven't stolen anyone's property, those who have no personal complaints, valid, credible complaint against them, you're fine, keep your jobs. We saw what happened in Iraq when rash decisions were made to declassify the Iraqi military. We got rid of every single person. What do? They have to feed their families. They go get hired by somebody to build a road bomb, put it on the side of the road in Iraq. Bad mistake. Bad mistake. Our forces captured the 13-year-old on the side of the road, somewhere near Baghdad, planting a roadside bomb. And they said, why do you want to kill American soldiers? He said, I don't want to kill American soldiers. Why do you do this? He said, I got paid to do it. How much? $25. What do you do with that money? I save it. To do what? The answer will shock you. He said, to save my money and to go to America. That's what the 13-year-old Iraqi said. There are literally millions of Iranian youth who don't hate Americans. They don't hate the American military. They want freedom. They want to make their own decisions. So we're here today to talk about, tell them, give them that confidence. When Prince Reza Pahlavi says expedite the fallout, he means that the people of Iran, we have no authority. We can't tell people to forgive anything like that. But the people of Iran do. We need to repeat that message. That's what they want to say. That's what they say to the IRGC members and the police force, crash forces of people who beat up on them. They say, if you haven't killed anyone, you keep your job. But if you have, run. If you've stolen property, if you've hurt people, run. Justice is coming. This is not a joke. It's a true fact. Justice is coming. But don't worry. Come join the people if you haven't killed anyone, if you haven't stolen anything, if you haven't hurt someone's reputation. The second thing is that the fight between those who left, like me, and those who remain, like millions of people, 80% of them under 40 years old in Iran, we have to stop fighting. We have to stop pointing fingers at each other and say, you're bad because you started this revolution that sent me outside of Iran and I lost my homes and my friends and all of that. That was a long time ago. We have to forgive and forget. They also must not look at us as those who got up and ran when things got hot, which is true. We did get up and leave. They have the right to say, you didn't stay here. Now help us. We should say, how can I help? We're here to talk about that today. Thirdly, if you talk to a under 40-year-old, 80% of the population in Iran are under 40 years old. They will tell you, what's really important to me is I need a job. Don't tell me anything else. I'm not interested in anything else. First, I need a job. I need to have a life. Like a farmer that has about 40 to 50 chances in life to be able to grow a crop. Some of them are successful, some of them are not. But this 40-year-old sitting there saying, I have lost 40 years, 20 of which I could have been planting something, building a future. It was stolen from me. How do I get it back? How do I get it back? My friends here are going to talk about that today. We're going to do that in some detail. We want to talk to that 40-year-old inside Iran. And again, we cannot do enough of this. This is just the beginning of the conversation with the people of Iran. But let me just say this. As a student of history, we face a reality. You want jobs? I say to the 40-year-old, your government for the past 46 years has burnt every opportunity you could have for your future. Your country is owing a lot of money to its central bank. They're printing money like crazy. Today, Iranian currency, if it drops on the floor, I'm not sure the cost of picking it up is going to be more than what you find on the floor. That's a misery. That's awful. The government has stolen your future. Unfortunately, population growth is nearing almost dangerous levels. You know what happens? When in a country, people who work are much smaller in numbers than those who don't work. Those who work have to support those who don't work. There is a point in a country's history that it becomes irreversible. The older people cannot reproduce. The population starts going down. More people die than being born. It will never go back. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the real danger Iran faces today. So there's no time. There's no time for bickering and saying, oh, I love Iran more than you do, so let me tell you how I'm going to do this. No, work together. Be humble. And it's hard sometimes to be humble, but Saeed Jabari and I know what it takes to be humble. We are humble in life by the enormity of challenges we face. And we need to be aware of that. We need to work together. We need to stop saying, look, I'm smarter than you, I've got better ideas. No, you all have great ideas. We all have to listen. We all have to work together. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'd say to the 40-year-old, look, I understand where you're coming from. Because there are no resources, foreign investors are going to have to come in to help you. And the moment I mention the word foreign, Iranian history start blinking red all over the place. You all know why. They're right. It's justified. It's justified. I can start with British military stockpiling grain, causing a famine that killed half of Iran population. You want them to trust the foreigners? Forget it, as they say in New York. They won't. I'll take you to 1901. The British Australian man by the name of William Knox Darcy had a relationship with somebody called Mr. Kitabchi in Iran. Mr. Kitabchi used to sell books. He had contacts with foreigners, including William Knox Darcy. William Knox Darcy was sending books, Kitabchi was selling them. And one day, William Knox Darcy says to Kitabchi, hey friend, I heard that oil was found in the north in a city called Baku. Could it be that maybe next door there's also oil? I like to look into this. Kitabchi went to work real quickly. And he had to find out how much does it cost to bribe the king, the monarch, the Qajar king. How much does it cost to bribe him to give all the rights of oil to the British Australian? Kitabchi came back and said 20,000 pounds is what it costs. That's for the king. But I need to have 500 pounds of sterling for me. And with that, the unfair contract was signed, where 84% of the profits, not revenue, went to William Knox Darcy, 16% went to the people of Iran on the oil proceeds. Now wait a minute, what's wrong with that picture? 84, 16, well, 16% maybe good? No. The British government decided that since the British Navy was providing protection for the transportation of oil at that time, that they needed to get oil for free. Therefore, expenses went up, profits went down. It was 16% of nothing. You want the Iranian people not to be suspicious? They are suspicious. And they have a right to be suspicious. Now, let's fast forward. There are many other examples. Fast forward, 1979. The President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, appears at a dinner, formal dinner, with them, the leader of the country, the late Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, stands next to him and says Iran is an island of stability under your leadership. At the same time, Ramsey Clark, Andrew Young, and a few other former officials visiting with, and I told them they didn't know. They didn't know him. They hadn't read his book, but they said, you're okay. You know, you're a cleric, you're going to go there and you're going to fix things, and we're going to be supporting you. Very, very unfair. Very unfair. So, in the eyes of Iranians, foreigners haven't always been helpful. They're right to be suspicious. And it's against this background that we get together to be able to say to them, look, we know your feelings. You don't want any foreigner to interfere with the decisions that rightly belong to you. You want them to help, but not interfere. Not to tell people what kind of government they should have.
Can you bring the microphone in your...
Put it in my mouth. Oh, great, great. Absolutely. I'll do that. I'll do that. I apologize. I'm not trained in doing this usually. I don't do well in business. So what we're doing today is we're acknowledging. I'm talking to that 40-year-old in Iran directly. We're all talking to them. We know what's important to you, and we are here to offer a platform. We're not going to tell you what to do. You're all very educated. In 1995, they told me the top winners of the mathematics concourse at Stanford, California, were from one university, one country. That was Iran. One university. Top 5. The best asset in Iran is its population, educated, capable. Just let them work. Let them work with American youth, with Israeli youth. They will do wonders. They know how to do that. But they need some help because there are no resources left in the country. The Islamic Republic has killed Iran and the Iranians. So we are here today to talk about a platform. And I just want to make sure that we all now understand, Jordi, what was said before in the panels. We are here to talk about jobs. And I'm reminding myself also what an honor it is to sit with people who came here. They're not paid. They're all like you. They want to care. They're here because each one of them, just like each one of us, is focused on what we can do to help the people of Iran, not to interfere with them, not to tell them what to do, but to say, we are here. You know, it's like Home Depot's motto. I don't know if you've heard it or not. Home Depot says, you can do it, we can help. So that's what we're here for. And Marcus, I'm going to turn to you. You have been advising governments, you've been advising corporations in difficult situations on how to come together, how to work together. And I just described to you the skepticism. I described to you, which you know very well, of course. You know the culture. It's going to be difficult. This is not an easy deal. We are going to be looking at scorched earth. And we're going to do things to help the Iranian people by offering this platform. So what I'd like to ask you is, please, with your skills, imagine the post-sanctions Iran. How's it going to look like? Where would women be in jobs? And please focus on that 3-letter word, joy. So give us an imagination. Then I'm going to go to Nick, former banker from JP Morgan, Bank of America. You name a big money center bank, the gentleman on the screen, my colleague Nicholas Hofgren, has had a major role in there. He knows how money works. So, and nothing works without money, as we saw. There's Nicholas up there. And then I'm going to go after Nicholas to Will Swanson. Will Swanson faced the pointy end of the spear so that you and I can enjoy our freedoms. He put his life on the line. That's why he got the Medal of Freedom. There are only 61 individuals alive today who have that blue, beautiful ribbon around their neck. Colonel Swanson, you're one of them. I'm just honored to be sitting next to you. And thank you for facing the pointy end of the spear so I can keep my freedom. And we come after Will to Jordy. Jordy is the nitty-gritty guy. When you have a couple $100 billion that has to go into major projects, mega projects, you need someone who comes from not just regular engineering background, but I know two people in this room, there may be more that I can call engineers. I'm looking at one of them who's been engineering everything I do every day at San Antonio, who's also from MIT in Israel, and then Jordy from MIT, Massachusetts. I know how important that school is. They wouldn't let me take a regular course there, but I hang around MIT for a while to see what I can learn, and I have respect for the institution you come from. Jordy also had a very interesting classmate, a famous classmate. Would you tell?
Benjamin Netanyahu.
So Jordy not only is an expert on how money works in mega projects, he has some very important friends in the world that we're delighted to be sitting next to you and share your experience. Appreciate it very much. So Marcus, it's to you now, imagination against a very difficult background.
It is, thank you. I want to comment on a few things that you said. When I look at the situation in Iran, and I look at Iranian in general, my basic training before I ventured into what I do today, by essence, I started as a lawyer, and then I realized I'm not going to have to work with those people. So I quit. And I went to medical school, became a psychiatrist, and then a psychologist. So I look at a lot of human behavior, and this is how I advise people. It's the understanding that everything we do in life is governed by behavior. And behavior, human behavior, is governed by emotions. Emotions is governed by situations we're in. One of the biggest issues that Iranians, every Iranian that I've ever spoke to, I said it to all my Iranian friends, every time I speak to you, it's like speaking with somebody who's been through trauma. Not only trauma, almost like a trauma of home invasion. Somebody came into your home, snatched you, took everything you have, and tossed you into the street. And this is something position to be in if you are to rebuild. Iranian, when we talk about suspicion, we're talking about how this 40-year-old Iranian young men and women will trust a foreigner or a bank or anybody that is non-Iranian to help them. I'm not Iranian. I fooled for 20 years the lady in the tabasco shop in Toronto, thinking that I'm Iranian because she would get me all the good stuff from the back. The rest of us, they bought what was served in the front. She used to give me all the good stuff. And I learned the basic phrases and I convinced her. But above and beyond that, I think the biggest issue is forgive and forget is a very American concept. it's not a real concept. Psychologically speaking, when we forgive and forget, we don't heal. We need to forgive, but we can never forget. And the reason why we never forget is because we are doomed to repeat our mistakes. In every behavior, in every interaction we have with other people, we have parts in it. I refuse to believe that Iranians just give up to the revolution and just tell Khomeini, take us, we're yours. No, there were people who were speaking out. And people who left Iran, that was their speaking out. We don't want to participate, hoping to come back to a different reality. So Iranian people need to be respected for the decisions they've made. They need to be held accountable. But at the same time, accountability means that you're now in charge too. It's part of your change. You're here on a Saturday. I look around and spoke with most of you, a lot of you, you've done well. A lot of people, diasporas who moved from Bulgaria, who moved from different countries in the world, are not going to stand here sitting on a Saturday for a few hours talking about how to make their former country better. They're like, no, I left, I'm gone, I'm doing well, I have grandchildren here. I've lived my life, why do I care? And I think there's two exceptions to that story. Those are Israelis and Iranians. I speak with Israelis, it's always the same thing. Always worried about the homeland, what's going on. And that relationship is an interesting one. It's a long historic relationship. You know, the only Persian, the only foreigner to be included in the Torah, the Jewish Bible, the Hebrew Bible, is Koresh. Cyrus the Great. He's actually named as a Messiah almost, and a saint. He's the one who rebuilt the temple. So that relationship, that history, that pride that a lot of Iranians still have. I'm a bit concerned about the younger generation. I taught at University of Toronto. I had a lot of Iranian students of diaspora. Their parents they were born in Canada. They would introduce themselves as Canadians. They will neglect to mention the fact they're Iranians. Because for them, being Iranian is being, defined as a terrorist, as Islamist, as extremist, as axis of evil, as people who are not contributing to society. They couldn't speak of their history. They couldn't speak of their legacy they have. And it's not because their parents didn't tell them that. It's the society that they live in. I lived in Canada for 20 years. I never understood what does it mean, this melting pot. Sorry, this mosaic. Just be you. And I stood when my son went to school, and they asked him to bring a food to represent his culture. And my son looks and is like, well, Mom is Polish, Jewish, Irish, and German. You are Italian, Israeli, Moroccan, of Lebanese descent. And we eat a lot of Persian foods. Do I bring kebab? I'm like, that's a great idea. I'll ask Mona to make some for you. And he brought it to the class, and they didn't know what to do with it. So that's very artificial and not useful. So when speaking with Iranian, and people say, well, you're in the diaspora, you don't have the right to speak about what's going on in Iran. Absolutely false. Iranians are looking up to you, and I speak with a lot of Iranians on the internet. They're looking up to you, not only admiring your success, admiring what you have done, they're looking for guidance. They understand, they feel trapped. You were home invaded 46 years ago, and you were tossed to the street and you somehow survived. They're still in that nightmare. They're still there. They're still living, they're living with a guy who assaulted them. So now again, as a psychologist, a psychiatrist, I can tell you that's not a way to heal. So when Iran moves to the next stage, when the Ayatollahs go home, whichever home, the one with the virgins or maybe the one in Kuwait, I don't know, they can choose. I don't know. I'm not picking. Russia, yeah, Assad there's a few condos beside it. I'm sure they know each other, so it'll be great. And I hear the Lord properly. But again, going back to division, and we talked about a platform. What's a platform? Why do you need a platform? Why do you need something to be prepared? And I think that we saw it live, and historically. If you asked me 5 years ago if Syria will cease to exist, I would say, well, probably not. The leadership is strong, the army is strong, the collusion between the army and the Assad family and the business people, it's a tight-knit, evil kind of cabal that they established, minus the wife. Apparently she's very nice, the British girl. But at the same time, it collapsed, and I'm not going to take credit for Israel, but it's what happened with Hezbollah, what happened in Hamas, what happened in the Middle East because of the war that has been engaging there. So how does it reflect on Iran? How is Iran going to be affected by it? And I think that one of the most important things we need to learn is that the people of Iran, or the leaders of Iran today, and the 40-year-old that we talked about, the jobs, look at Syria and see that in 10 days, that tiger, that supposed scary regime collapsed and became nothing. But let's not forget that Assad took all the money, a lot of gold. Apparently there were few planes that left with most of it to Russia. So it wasn't that haphazard as the media would like you to believe. There was a plan, and he executed it. And Iran will probably have the same issue. I live in New York City. Okay, we can go on a little real estate tour, and because you speak Farsi, we'll stand outside of different buildings, condos in New York. Will knows that too. And most of the younger people that live in those condos are cousins and nephews and kids of mullahs and people of the regime. So the money is there already in New York City. So we need to know where the money is going. So I'm going to go back to why platform. So when Syria collapsed, people were like, well, now it's great, Assad is gone, but we have this Al-Jalani who took, and I know Al-Jalani, I met him. Very nice guy if you like people like him. He's not nice. He put a suit on, which is great. He is now meeting with world leaders. He's been entertained by Sarkozy and, not Sarkozy, Macron and the rest of them. Same thing, same thing. And here's the issue. This is what's going to happen. If Iran collapses tomorrow, without a platform, with not a real plan, with not the strong opposition and people lining up and saying, here's an alternative to that 40-year-old man and woman who needs a job, those opportunists, those people will, they will take over. And Iran will go into another 46 years of hell, worse than what they saw before. So planning it's always good to plan. My late father, may he rest in peace, used to say, hope is great, but plan counts. We can hope. I hope things will be fine. But if I make a plan, there's a good chance it's going to be. So what we propose is to create a plan. We're being sensitive to Iranian, but as a psychologist, I think the entire country needs to go into therapy, massive therapy. Understanding that in order to move forward in 2025 in world markets, incorporate the way you're all business people, a lot of you here, you understand the intricacy of the finance world, and our distinguished friend can explain further. It's not 1901 anymore. It's not the British, not the American. We have a new president who has made a few statements, and we'll speak about the ramifications of some of those statements, who might make everything that we say here a bit irrelevant if we don't move fast. Because he's a businessman too. you understand that Iran is probably the biggest business opportunity of the century, of the millennium. Never ever in the history of the world you have a population that was so young, 80% under 40, 97% literacy rate, engineers, chemists, you name it. Top human resources. Because we look at a lot of places like in Africa, the trillions of dollars were invested and it's all gone to nothing. And the reason is because there was no human resources. Iran has the human resource that is unbelievable. And people say, well, there's no opportunity for women. I said, well, there is here in America, and the diaspora will have to reflect back. I have one more minute. So, talking about the lessons of the past is important. As I said, we should never forget. You never forget the past. You're not going to move forward if you forget the past. You become complacent. But you need to sort out your past. My late father, who had a very interesting life, when I was 18, I confronted him. I was a man. I will go to the army soon, and I will show him. I will tell him. And I said horrible things to him. And when he had any kids in the audience? No. When he had a very foul mouth. When I ended the conversation, he looked at me, he looked up and he said, "You either write a best-selling book, or get the fuck away from my face." I was so offended. I was like, I will show him. He was right. There was really nothing to say anymore. I've said my piece. I released my anxieties about it. I told him how I felt. It didn't help. Today when I work with CEOs and prime ministers and one president, I say to them, you need to understand, if you're going to relitigate the past, be ready to pay the price. Because I don't know if any of you have been involved in litigation. Nobody goes home the winner, except for the lawyers. So we don't want to litigate the past. Do we want the mullahs to stay in Iran and prosper? Probably not. Do we want them out? Yes, but we can keep them out of our institutions, your institutions. We can keep them out of, no budget for you. You're not getting paid. Like the good old days. Pass the plate, get the money this way. Thank you.
So Marcus, you know. Marcus, don't be offended by it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to represent the 40-year-old. And this 40-year-old comes from a background that he was a worshiper. He used to get up and, worship whatever symbol of power you put in front of him, he would worship it. But that was my generation and the generation before. This 40-year-old is not a worshiper. He's a questioner. He's a fierce questioner. He's like one of those students you hate. Like I spent some time in the classroom. You know those students where they come and pick on you and they say, "Hey, Prof, I didn't understand a word of what you said. What do you mean? Why did you say that? You know what? So-and-so, Smith, whatever, said this, and you described it exactly the opposite. Reconcile it for me. They're pests. So I want to play the pest today. On the 40-year-old, it says, okay, so you're telling me you understand why we're skeptical. You understand why we have problems. Describe to me, I live in a country where my rights are being taken away, my opportunities are being taken away, and I get it. You want to come and say, I want to put together a platform that makes that job possible. And I'm going to go to Nick in a minute and ask him, where do we get all these possibilities? Because we want to know who's going to invest, how, This is a mess. This is a country where corruption is in every single aspect of the bureaucracy. You cannot get anything done without a bribe. And you talked about the psychology of the country I live in. And I see my dear friend, distinguished friend, Dr. Mahmoudi sitting there, welcome. I know she's thinking, these guys know what they're talking about. It's not easy. This is a very difficult task. In a few sentences, walk us through the stages of the day after. What does that day look like in a country that's turbulent? Give us creation of a job cycle. Tell me a story about how a job is created. Any job. It doesn't have to be a mega project like Jordan, but tell me your imagination of how I'm looking for a job. I'm 40 years old, I'm late, I live with my mom because I can't afford rent. I had a job, but the company I work for hasn't paid me for 6 months. They don't have money. Now tell me, how long is it going to take for me to get a job in an environment like that? Realistically, you know the answer. Give me that imagination, please.
If there was a solution that is magic, well, that's what the revolution promised. Don't forget, Khomeini in Paris, on the carpet, sitting there, making stories. I think that realism has to land. That 40-year-old has been contending with every Iranian and Iran that you speak to have this internal struggle between the Islamiyat, the Iraniyat. What am I? Am I a product of the Islam, or am I the product of the Iranian tradition? Yes.
What do you want him to do in participating with the platform?
Before he needs to be, this is what I think that in order for it to engage in any platform, you have to come willing, open, and understanding that this is here to help.
So another question. What we want to do here, offering this platform, many other groups want to do this. I see you sitting there last week at the conference, discussing exactly the same things with the same objectives. They did a great job. Actually, I didn't get to go, but I heard about it. How can we encourage these circles to find common areas like the Venn diagram and put those common areas together? And how am I going to work with Nima? How are we going to work with them to bring him in, make this platform stronger?
As opposed to Kamala Harris, I don't like Venn diagrams. She really loves them, I know.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I think the platform itself should be based like an open source. Those of you in technology understand that an open source platform means there's the basis that helps you with the program, and you have to contribute or custom build your platform in order to fit. So when you come to the 40-year-old, you say, you are like the programmer. I will give you a platform that you can have a job tomorrow. You have to bring to me what you can do. What is it? What is the source? What is the code you want to put into it? And part of the code is respect. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's something that a lot of Iranians that I speak to say to me, I used to have a pension. It disappeared. I used to have respect at work. It all disappeared because somebody snitched on me that I said something bad about this guy or that guy. So I'm no longer appreciated. So they need to understand that this platform is not a foreign creation. This is not a foreign object. It's an open source platform where you engage with it, and the success of it, and the building and the multiplication of it is the result of your engagement. So your high literacy rate, your engineering degree, everything that is valued in the real world will be valued on this platform, while it wasn't valued before under the regime because you were not part of the group, the in-group. You were the out-group.
So this is the first of this discussion. This is not the end of the discussion. This is where we begin to keep continuing our dialogue with the 40-year-olds in Iran. And I want to thank you for sharing your experience, imagining what it could be. And in a free future Iran, there would be no difference between the opportunities a woman holds and a man holds. Absolutely. You know why? The woman will not allow it. Not because somebody is not good at it. The women of Iran will not allow it. And I'm not just saying that to please my wife who's sitting here. That's not she knows the power that my mother had, my sisters have, my daughters have, and now my granddaughters have. They're very powerful, extremely powerful. So in the future of Iran, I'm counting on the women of Iran to be able to continue leading the creativity. Because look, they're not just making opportunities, they are responsible for the future generations of how they behave and how they come to the society. And there's been great damage in the Iranian society that needs to be repaired. If we have to fix something, it's the culture. And that's why Marcus is sitting next to me doing the imagination, because I can't do it in an organized fashion like he does. Now I'm going to go to Nick Hofgren. Now, I was claiming that my friends here on the panel today, they care, just like you, just like me. They care about what is going on in Iran. Please don't question their motives. It's 11 o'clock in London, and Nick Hofgren is traveling. He just traveled from time difference into another city, sitting in an undisclosed location right now, and Nick is here to answer a question for me. Nick, I apologize, I have to turn around to look at you to be able to talk to you. Mr. Hofgren, thank you for joining us. You've been around capital markets, you've seen big numbers, mega projects come together, and today's challenge for you is the 40-year-old in Iran is saying, oh, Mr. Hofgren, I heard from Mr. Benayoun that the future is bright, that you guys are putting together some kind of a platform together with all others who are doing some similar things. Looks like you're going to work with them. You talk about all together at the same time. So that's exciting. But you know, I want to ask you, Mr. Hofgren, could you pry open this magic box of the possibilities of what Marcus is talking about? Who's going to invest in Iran? What conditions should we present to do that? We talked about the fear and suspicion about foreigners and foreign investment, and they're going to come and do what William Knox Darcy did, but Iranians will not permit that anymore. This is not 1901. This is 2025, where the world is behind all those freedom-seeking people in Iran, all together. Nick, tell us, who's going to come to the aid of operationalizing this platform? Who is going to come under what conditions? Because today, with the Islamic Republic in place, with this corruption, with this ineptitude, incompetent government, no foreign investor. I mean, there are people in this room who manage the largest portfolio in the world of foreign investment. They know what foreign investment needs to have the comfort. And Nick, you know as well. So please tell us, how can we actualize this platform for the 40-year-old in Iran? What do you tell them? Imagine you're talking to the 40-year-old directly. Of course, the distinguished audience is here, and we'll also add to that with their own thoughts and questions later, which we will have time for. But Nick, it's all yours. How do we get this done?
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be with Marcus and you, and of course Will and Jordy. I look at capital is fungible. Capital will go where there's safety and recourse. So if you don't have a clear rule of law, if there is the possibility of slow or fast capital loss through impairments, through legal actions, people won't invest. invest. If you've got $100 and you buy something and you know you can put it in your pocket, you feel comfortable. If you buy $100 of something that maybe the government takes away from you in a year or two, you don't buy it. There is capital, there will always be capital for good investments. What we're very lucky about in this time in the world is there are development banks and institutions who facilitate large capital investments. And for the Iranian people, particularly this individual that we're talking about, I think the most important thing is trying to figure out where the best entry points are. Is it building hospitals? Is it building schools? Is it building other types of infrastructure that create jobs both in the construction and in the operation? There is capital at the World Bank, at the German development banks, the French development banks, the English development banks. All you have to do is come and show that there's the right legislative protections that prevent the government or any other party from taking away your right to those assets. Then being able to build an asset that generates a sustainable income. And within an economy like Iran today, there are ample opportunities for us as a platform working with the Iranian people to identify those systemic problems where we can put in infrastructure that will create long-term opportunities. It could be telecommunications. It could be digital skin. Why start with 4G and copper lines when we can go straight to 5G and provide people faster in-home internet so that they can create their own businesses? We have to find those things with the Iranian people. We have to find those things and make sure that the legislation supports those investors who come in to fund those businesses and make sure that those businesses have a recourse for their investment. That, Bijan, I think is the right approach.
Thank you, Nick. We're going to come back to you, and I'm going to be that testy student again with you as well, but not this round. Thank you. We appreciate it. We touched upon, the players, the multilaterals, the export credit agencies around the world. There's 60 of them. And they're out there to make sure that when their exporters want to sell their stuff around the world, whether it be services or products, that they would be there to level the playing field, so that to make sure that if other countries put their export finance power behind their exporters, that they do too. And like Nick said, Germans do it, French do it, Italians do it, Hermes Müller in Germany, COFAS in France, and SACE in Italy do what Export-Import Bank of the United States does. Again, there are people in this room that sat behind those desks and processed those mega projects, billions of dollars. We are used to those. We know no money challenge at all. We solve money challenges because we are trained to do that. When the risk is too much, we have solutions. This is not for the weak at heart. When you go invest in a very problematic, troubled environment, you have to understand that you're going to do mining where people are going to shoot you. You're going to do telecommunications where people are going to probably steal your towers. So you just end your radios. So you have to understand how these things are done in such an environment. But ladies and gentlemen, every program needs to have a commercial. And I'm going to now run the commercial. Because I've been asked to do so on a very important commercial. The lady who came to me and said, you guys have an important program here, we understand that, but we're also doing something very important in Washington, D.C. on April 13th between 2 to 4 in the afternoon. We're going to get in front of the White House and we're going to do another one of those 5 points mentioned by Prince Reza Pahlavi. Didn't you say we're following him? Didn't you say that you're following his program? So, okay, here's another point of those 5 points. You get there, advertise it, with pleasure. You know, I'm on TV a lot, not because I like it, but because I have to. And then I find myself getting in that role of running commercials as if it's real. So I am running a commercial. April 13th, in front of the White House, getting together, because just like that poster said, those arrows must be all let go at the same time. Take your arrows, go to Washington, D.C., and join D.C. protests. It has a website. You can ask my friend Hope Bita, who's sitting in the back. That's my daughter's name, so I can remember that easy. And she'll tell you all the rest of it. Please consider supporting these group activities. It's important. We cannot say, oh, we have a standard bearer of change and he's carrying the flag, our national identity up front, and we follow him. But you know what? We are tired. We can't come and follow you and join you in that voice. I don't know if the prince is going to be there that day. They don't tell me these things. I'm not aware of anything, but I'm sure his voice will be there and his thoughts are going to be there. Good luck. And you know, if I can talk my bank manager to give me a loan to be able to finance travel, I'll be with you as well. So with that, now, Colonel Swanson, we are talking about turbulent waters. We're talking about a country where a government has for 46 years used uniformed, trained killers who've been beating up on people, stealing their future, not letting them live a normal life. And we are here offering a platform. You spent your life in turbulent waters, in most difficult situations. Yeah, you know, your introduction says you work for the Defense Intelligence Agency, and people would say, oh, you're a spy? What do spies have to do with economic development? You know, you're a military officer, you're trained to kill people and break things, pretty much. But what does that have to do with creating a job? And the 40-year-old is as pesky with you, Colonel Swanson, as he is or she is with the rest of the town. So the question is, Colonel Swanson, how are we going to do this? Yes, BlackRock wants to invest so much in what country or not, and the other ones are going to follow. And GE wants to sell generators, and Boeing wants to sell aircrafts, and somebody has to invest in this. And then you face the challenge of an angry people, very angry people. 46 years they've been killed and maimed and shot at, lost their eyes and lost their lives. And you're saying, I want to give you a job. And he wants a job, this 40-year-old, but he's very angry also. And there's going to be an environment where security is necessary to be able to conduct trade and commerce. Because if you're doing mining and people shoot at you, how are you going to get the stuff out, turn it into something good, maybe ameliorated? Maybe if you're selling copper ore at the rate of $9,000 per pound, you can turn that into copper wire for technology and sell it for $90,000 per ton. How do you do that when people are shooting at you? They're not letting you do that. And certainly you cannot do that in an environment where you have to pay bribe and you have to deal with the warlords and deal with you know, unusual conditions. None of that would exist, but you still deal with angry people in a place where there is no bureaucracy. Permitting is going to be still very difficult. No more bribery, perhaps, but still very difficult because they're not sure what to issue a permit on or not. So you've dealt with all of these. If somebody asks me, what is a military attaché's job in our embassy abroad? I would be able to explain that. It has everything to do with development. Because development cannot take place in an unsafe environment. Also, You have to remember that trade pays for security because security makes trade possible. And that's why, Colonel Swanson, we become the bestie student to ask you, how do we do this in a difficult environment? You've done it, you've been there, you've faced and met the challenges, not just with the military force, but with the intellect that you and your colleagues have. It's no wonder that it's called defense intelligence, because smart people work there. It's yours.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I fully agree with you on the intelligence part. So after having spent a significant career with the U.S. military, learning what not to do in the Middle East, I think that I have a few things that I can say are cautionary tales. One of them is this: 46 years of pent-up anger of the Iranian people towards the Islamic Republic. This is an opportunity for the Iranian people to truly focus their rage at the appropriate location, which is the Islamic Republic. Because right now, they're being challenged by a very difficult moment in history. The Iranian Republic is in checkmate. They're proved to be a paper tiger. They have no defenses at this point. Their airspace is completely vulnerable. Their proxies have been destroyed. Their ability to retaliate is gone. At this moment, anyone can fly across Iran relatively undisturbed. So what does that mean? Before, the United States had a veto on our friends in Israel going in and taking out the Iranian threat with the nuclear weapon program. Because there's only one platform on Earth that could have gone in and dropped a very large bomb on one sortie and flown back out again to remove that threat, at least temporarily. And that was the B-2 bomber, that belongs to the United States government, and that meant that we had a veto. At this point, if you want to take out the Iranian nuclear threat, you could send a FedEx plane in to do the same thing, okay? So what does this mean? The Islamic Republic is in checkmate. The United States president has put down the gauntlet and said, we're going to negotiate, and we're going to give the Iranian people a chance to determine their future. Or, we're going to go with their military. The unfortunate thing about this is, the Iranian people, of course, are at a disadvantage. There are those people in the IRGC who have killed, who have hurt people, who have stolen, who will defend their position. And this is the problem. How do we have, the day before, the day after, set the conditions for the success of Iran? That requires legitimacy, it requires sovereignty, and it requires national unity. This is something that will not come through military action. This is not something that's going to come if the United States and Israel go in and denuclearify Iran. This has to be done organically by the people of Iran, otherwise it will not work. We've heard about 1901, we've heard about other episodes in Iranian history where the legitimacy and national sovereignty were compromised, and we've seen what happened. The revolution was very much a response to that. So we, together as a global community, need to help the Iranian people move to that day after that does not involve engagement with military forces, that does not involve a tit-for-tat response that will eventually ratchet from just destroying the nuclear facilities, then the conventional forces, and then punishing the Islamic Republic, which means the Iranian people, when there's retaliation outside of Iran. This is what we need to prevent. It's up to the Iranian people to form the legitimacy for what happens next. But it's happening. It's happening now. It will happen very soon. This is the moment. But it is about sovereignty, national unity, and legitimacy.
Thank you, Will. You know, it's not surprising that you speak with such confidence about such complex matters, because you've done it. You know, one of the challenges of our time is that a lot of interested people want to do things they've never done before. And they hope to be able to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. It's difficult. You can't do that. If you have a broken pipe in your home, you call a plumber. You don't call a PhD in hydromechanic or hydroelectronic. You won't be able to fix the broken pipe. You gotta find someone who has fixed it before. That's really important. One of the problems in the past 46 years, Will, has been that imagine that two soccer teams are playing against each other. One of them is very good. The other one is not good at all. They're playing in a stadium with 100,000 people who love soccer. They all want to jump in with their own soccer ball, playing soccer. Just ask yourself a question. Who do you think they're helping? The strong team or the weak team? The weak team loves chaos. And this has been the case. Many of us have been wanting to take our ball, jump into the soccer field, and start helping our favorite team. That's no way to help. What works is a group of professionals who've done it before to get together, figure things out, and enact them. Or else you're going to be talking, holding conferences, never moving forward, just talking to yourself. 46 years, this is what's taking place for the most part. Now there's a difference. What we have is a man who is the most popular, most respected, leading a column, just like in the military. He is carrying a flag that is our common identity, that's our unit. We follow that flag. We follow the thoughts associated with that. Very simple, nothing complicated. It's very basic. Like Saint John Lewis said, it's not rocket science. It's, hey, I know you hate Venn diagrams, and thank God we don't have that Venn diagram leading our country. And forgive me if I'm being partisan or political, it's just the way it is. I just want to say that if we can see professionals putting together their efforts, like Nima knows what I'm talking about, and others here, like Jordy, like Sam, like many of you who have experience, just put that experience where it belongs. Focus, stay in your swim lane, do what you can. There's a lot of people who would help. The 40-year-old in Iran, and you could be part of that with your skill sets. In fact, I got a text today that says, so you guys are getting together, Colonel Swanson, they know your profile, they know your background, Dr. Benayon and Jordy and Nick, and they said, is there a way that you guys can make a little bit of time and put together some mechanism of WhatsApp or whatever it is that we can ask you questions and connect and have this conversation continue? I said, you know, that's a good idea, but we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. It's going to take an effort, but we intend to continue this conversation with the 40-year-old in Iran. Enough of building walls. Walls will not get us anywhere. The best they provide is something very difficult to climb over, separating us, outside from inside. Let's build bridges and be focused on that. Just like Nick was telling us how it's done. We're listening what the challenges are, but I want to go back to myself, the 40-year-old hezb guy. I just heard a lot of things that makes me ask my question, what should I do? Well, what I should do is get together with my friends, ignore the system, put together what we call in the West blue ribbon committees. These are committees that skill sets from other places come in. These are the future people who issue permits. They regulate, they follow the law, get them all together, get them ready to understand. Don't start grandstanding in front of the foreign investors. Don't scare them, work with them, tell them one-stop shop, come here, we will help you, we'll get it done. And that's my responsibility as the 40-year-old. I have to stop complaining, I have to start connecting, I have to start doing things, preparing my role in the platform, any platform. This is not an exclusive effort. Many groups will be doing the same things, and it is our intention to connect with them and to offer exchange of thoughts without hegemony, without creating an organization where everybody has to come under that organization to be able to work effectively. Centralized operations are doomed to fail. Creativity is born when various circles work on the same things. And that's where competition wins. So with that, I'd like to go to Jordi. Jordi, you heard Marcus imagining what the future is going to be like. And in this round, I'd like to hear your thoughts about the kind of industries that would attract capital, that would make it possible. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have traveled on any toll road anywhere in the world, whether it's in Frankfurt, whether it's in France, in Spain, in other countries, Mr. Grails has had something to do with that, because it requires billions of dollars to be built to create an almost never-ending gift that keeps giving toll roads. They provide income. Mr. Grails is an expert in public-private partnerships for big projects. So the question to you is, you've thought about some specifics that have a potential to create jobs. Because remember, the pesky 40-year-old woman or man who's sitting there saying, you guys look fancy, and you talk about all these things, big numbers and all that. Where's my job? How do I get to my job? So today our conversations with that 40-year-old director on this panel, what do you tell him? What do you tell that 40-year-old with all of your experience? How is he going to look for a job in the near future, not 10 years from now? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's on? Great.
It's not on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much again. Well, thank you. Yes, this is something we have to do, and we have to get to know what sectors are where the investment with a PPP system will be more likely and more easier to make in Iran. Because this PPP reduces significantly the time of the management of the preparation of the project. It is fair because it goes to the market to be selected. The companies that will participate in this endeavor. It's not going to be designed by one only. And then the whole thing of investment is very well tested in some 20 or 30 countries, significant countries in the world, like England, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Turkey as well, and the United States, Argentina, Peru, Chile, and 3 or 4 countries in Asia, like India and Thailand and Japan. So this system has worked very well in all these countries, and more to come. So this consists of some features, and the sectors where this can be working very well, as per the experience worldwide, are, for example, one is the renewable energy, sector, where Iran has a vast potential for solar, wind, and hydroelectric energy projects. Building solar farms, wind turbines, and small hydroelectric plants can create jobs in construction, operation, and maintenance, while also addressing long-term energy needs. That's one of the sectors which very quickly we can put in place this system working well and fairly for everybody, and creating jobs globally. Another sector where this can work very well, as field experience worldwide, is on building affordable housing projects, which is projects for the common citizen of the country. Housing projects for the common system. The Iranian population need to build affordable houses for middle and low-income families that can generate thousands of jobs. The construction industry activity can provide a significant multiplier effect on the economy. Additionally, a third sector would be the hospital and medical equipment manufacturing sector. And Iran is very, very unique in this regard because it has a tradition for this, for the good medicine. Establishing and upgrading hospital medical equipment manufacturing facilities can create jobs, improve self-sufficiency in healthcare, and help reduce dependence of imports, which is very important. Another sector would be building logistics hubs, so places where the fleets of trucks or lorries, nationwide and international, are just taken care of, and so on and so forth. And finally, there's the big one, which is the road networks and highways sector, building high quality highways, separated carriers, facilities, which with the PPP system, where upgrading and expanding the road network, especially in rural and underserved areas, can also generate significant employment in construction and maintenance, other than service to the local business. This will also facilitate trade and commerce with the country. In short, these 5 sectors that I have described could be among 5 of the most immediately applicable procedures to put in place structures for developing them worldwide. There are others, of course, but it is a suggestion like just that right here. That's what we have thought.
Thank you, Jordi. We're gonna, at this point, we're gonna take maybe 5 questions from the audience for each one of the panel members, or you can pose questions to all of us or any one of us. I have a request. Please start the question with one of the words of how, or what, or when. And if your sentence does not start with one of these words, then I'm afraid I'm going to hear speech, not a question. So please, if you're prepared to start your sentence with one of those words, forgive me for mentioning it because we have very little time. I will take 5 questions, and of course, ladies first. From the first row, I'm going to take the lady in the white jacket. Sherry, how are you?
Thank you.
Yes. We know each other for a lot of years, so please, what is your question, ma'am?
Okay, it's so hard to start with a question.
Well, you started with what or when, so.
Let me just have a little statement. The statement is that we've been here 46 years. I appreciate all the gentlemen here who cares about our country and our people. However, we all know that it's a benefit for all of the gentlemen here, because the chaos in our country also started a chaos in the world. You're not just fixing the Middle East, we are actually fixing a lot of problems that this government started in the world. Okay. We have one person, and we all talk about that, is the Crown Prince of and we do have a leader, okay? For 46 years, I've been hearing, especially the American government, to tell us that we need you under one umbrella. We need one group. We need one opposition group. That cannot be. It's not possible. It has been 46 years. We're all over the world, all the Iranian immigrants, and everybody tried to help. So everybody came up with their own group, their party and all that. It's a very hard contest.
Please get to the question, Chair.
The question is this, I'm skeptical, even right now, as President Trump is there, we've been 46 years, Republican, Democrat and all that, we've been hearing words, lip sync and all of that. How do I know if we have the money in this country, in the banks, it's our money, but it was given to Iranian government, okay? Why can it be given to the guy who put us under this umbrella? We're all here, aren't we? And 90% of the immigrants and all the Iranian people, 90% of the Iranian people support him. Where can we help him to help all of us? Not just us, but you guys too, and all over the world. Please, I'm skeptical. Just tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that this time we're gonna have a real out.
Okay, I'm going to take the answer to that question, Sherry, gladly. Your question is right. It has to be recognized that this movement has leadership, it has organization, it's getting there. Be patient with it. The government of the United States needs to hear this, and believe me, individuals on this panel will definitely take your message and repeat it in Washington, D.C.
We also get a promise that we are not going to support the MAC, the Mujahideen, the communist group, that they all sit in a seminar and they clap together, don't respond to
Let me finish my answer. Let me finish my answer. You're asking for financial help. The government of the United States will not respond to a request for help from, let me finish my answer.
But I didn't ask for
I
that.
understand, I understand. The government of the United States will do what it needs to do to serve the American interest. In our community, there are a lot of individuals with a lot of capital. You must go to them. You must ask them to invest. There's a lot of people who work every day for nothing. They don't get paid. You need to say that with that confidence, which is, I know you, I know how effective you are. Go to them. Say, guys, hey, I see you giving $1 million here, $2 million their political contributions to help the people of Iran. You have a responsibility. Shame them into helping. It's the people, not the American taxpayer. Now, if you want the American taxpayer to have more sympathy and to understand, look, we keep talking to ourselves. Invite your neighbors. Tell them about what this group did. You're talking about support from 150 members of the United States Congress who supported Colin Johnson. Individuals who killed, execution style, from General Hal Price to 2 senior officers of American military, and we now applaud them in Congress. Shame on them. Shame on every single representative in the United States who applauds people who killed American service members. Shame on them. Go tell them that. Go tell them that. Thank you for that. There is another lady. I'm sorry, I just spoke to ladies who has Ms. Bakhshande, Nora Bakhshande. Please go ahead.
So
Question,
you
please.
mentioned, it's a question. Why didn't you mention all the natural resources that Iran has? Incredibly rich in natural resources, incredibly rich in oil, incredibly rich in gas, incredibly rich in these rare minerals, and that was not mentioned at all in the industries to be developed. I'm curious as to why. Was it because it's just a given and you were exploring other avenues?
I'm sorry. You want to take anybody who wants to do this? I'll have an answer for you, but I'll ask Will.
In 2 parts. One of the unique things about Iran is it's already a diversified economy. It already has a distributed capability set across manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, computers, natural resources. The oil industry, though it's very important, is really not a very large employer, for one thing. They need to actually start moving away from the energy sector and diversify further away from that. Obviously, rare earths and things like that right now they're all the top, they're all the rage. There's a huge play for them. And as Jordan was talking about, just moving into things like solar panels, you get a much better return on investment. So there are so many things that Iran has going for it. It's very difficult to say what they don't, except for their current government.
Thank you. There's another part.
Nicholas wanted to say something too back
No,
So the other part of the answer to
that's
your
absolutely
question
right.
is
Extractive and oil and gas industries very rarely employ a lot of people, not even in the processing part. So while there are great subsoil assets, I think the transition to more employment at this point in the Iranian economic development is more valuable to the people of Iran.
So I can give you, Nick, thank you. I can give you the other part of the question. We did go to the extractive industries. We did go to natural resources. We touched upon how you could take, instead of copper ore that sells for $9,000 a pound, to 11, maybe 1,000 or more, to 90,000 when you make copper wire. So extractive industries are finite industries. What's their ends? The biggest source of capital is human capital. And of course we will do that. When we were in Afghanistan, the Russians had identified rare earth and other precious material to the point of $3 trillion in assets. But getting them out and turning them into what can be called capital is a very complex process. We will talk about that. This is not the last conversation. It's the beginning. This is the first conversation. I'm going to go back and please make the questions short so I can, the lady with the hair, the gentleman with the haircut like mine, please. Please, yes.
Among the plans I heard about the hydroelectric investments, but the fact is that really we have problem with the water. And then I think we have white shores and the access to the ocean, but we don't have sweet water. I think the desalination of the water is one of the things.
I got it. Water problem. Marcus, I'm going to get that to you because I know you know people who can solve that problem.
There is 4 Israeli startups. One that actually creates water from thin air. Those of you who took biology in grade 9 know that you can actually do that. And desalination, this is what Israel has been doing every day. The technology is unbelievable, and it's available, but it's not being sold to Iran because you don't want to do that at this point. The other issue with water, as you said, is when you get rid of the regime, you open up negotiation with other nations that now can do business with you to import water on the, what we call the immediate. Because immediately to create all those facilities will take time. But on the immediate, you can have water shipped. It's expensive, it's inefficient, it's environmentally disastrous. But if people don't have water to drink and dying, we have to do that. But again, Israel is a huge player in the world. They're doing a lot of development in that area, and they will be very gladly sharing that with the new regime.
So thank you for that. Hold on. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm keeping the order. Thank you for helping. Saeed Jabari has a question, and you raised your hand a long time ago. I apologize to you for going to the ladies first. Please go ahead. Please
One
go ahead.
question for Jordy and one question for Colonel Swenson. Jordy, you referred to PPP. Would you explain what that is?
I'm sorry, yes, public-private partnerships. It's a very special type of contract, where the two sides, the government and the operator, just sign a contract under which the operator invests on a public project in order to pay for a significant part, or most of the part, of the final cost of the facility, while charging some tolls or charges to the future users during a pay period which is normally 25 to 50 years. So after being financed by the banks, and all that stuff. So the whole thing, can be then advanced in the investment and then paid during a very, very long time, which is 20 to 30 years, at an interest which is very stable because normally these companies go to the stock exchange and are quoted by the public.
Yes, thank you. And I think Nick might be able to. And so, but there is also a parity in the exchange rate there, right?
Yes.
So that one, because of one currency being much stronger than the other.
Well, yes, of course, just according to the banking rules, of course, the banks are the ones that set up the framework.
So I like to suggest that this is a very critical conversation, Saeed. You're one of the experts in the field yourself. You're a financier, you understand these issues very well. I invite you to please consider joining our group that we're going to set up so the 40-year-old in Iran can communicate with you directly. Why? Because there are many of them like you in Iran. I'm going to ask for one more question, and I'm going to pick the question.
No, I had a question for
follow-up. Please go.
My question is, imagine that there is negotiations and the Trump administration negotiates with the Islamic Republic. What happens to the policy of maximum pressure?
I think there's only one policy, and it is maximum pressure. I don't think that it's really a negotiation. As I said, the Iranian government right now is in checkmate. There's really not a lot of negotiation left.
Let me just add. I don't claim to know everything President Trump wants to do. President Trump doesn't want anyone to know exactly what he's going to do, because that's part of his strategy. He wants to keep his opponent off balance, and that requires completely confusing, sometimes conflicting messages. I know that because maybe I was charged with the responsibility to enact such a thing in 2016, and again asked to do something like that in 2024. Adam Lovinger, who's not here, was also a friend of this community, helped write that first plan. He also helped write the second plan. So I assure you, Mr. Jabari, there are no carrots. None. Only sticks. President Trump will not offer incentives. I guarantee you. I don't speak for you. I don't speak for Congress. There's only sticks, no carrots.
Just wanted to clarify.
Sure, you wanted to hear it again. You wanted to hear it again. Absolutely. No carrots. Can you imagine? Please, thank you. Can you imagine President Trump, who was accused of 34 unfounded, baseless accusations, who was an attempt of assassination on him, two actually, and the Islamic Republic is accused of having to do something with one of them? Can you imagine President Trump, who demonstrated to the world how he negotiates last Friday at the White House, pretty much showed to the world that, look, you don't come here and bang your fist on the table and demand things and all that. That regime is gone, not there anymore. You had something to do with them, if they had some, dealings that made you feel so confident and talk like that, no more. That's President Trump. Can you imagine him sitting at the negotiating table that he wrote a letter to Khamenei and saying, "Oh, Your Eminence, Ayatollah, what can I offer you? How about a couple $1 billion in the dark of the night on pallets sent to you by aircraft in various currencies? Would you like to do that?" No, none of that will happen again. Ever. Under this president, you will see nothing like that, only sticks. So with that, just one more question. That question, I want to go to one person that I'm going to ask the question from. Somebody who's been creating jobs, understands that. And there are many of you here who would be dealing with how to create jobs, be very successful. But I'm going to call on Nima Bakhtiari. Nima, ask a question. How are you related to the 40-year-old? What would you tell the 40-year-old in what they need to do to be able to use their full platform, the whole world coming to them to help them? What would you tell them? That's the last question because our time is over and I've received notices. I apologize to all of you. Call me. You have a question? I'll connect you to the people. No, I'm sorry. I cannot allow it. I'm sorry. Time is over. Please. Nima, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I give my question to
No, you're a job creator, Nima. I want you to do it. Please. Don't turn me down.
repeat the question again?
Repeat the question. What is your message to the 40-year-old who sat here for the past 2 hours? Listen to this panel, which is all about jobs, opportunities, and investments. What would you say to them? What do you need them to do? How do they play in this game? You finish it. You say the last word. Jobs, opportunities, investments.
I think you said it. We can. And what has happened must have happened. And we can't talk about the past. We have to just focus on today and all we have. And what we have is plenty. And we just need to get together and figure it out. And put away the hurts, as they were mentioned before, bring the experts, and really trust the universe that we can and we will.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. This is going to continue. This conversation is not end here. This is the beginning. And believe me, I talked to the youth in Iran, the women in Iran. I spoke with the people who put together this fantastic animation that won the Oscar. About 5 minutes after the Oscars were announced. And I got a call, and they wanted to talk to us. They wanted to say, look, there's a lot of us here who are like you, tired. But, include us in these conversations. Talk to us. Build bridges, not walls. And I said, absolutely. And I would like to finish that. Jobs, opportunities, and investment. Thank you, Nick, for staying up, to joining us. We have 1,000 things to do. I happen to know who called you every day and who wants to talk to you. You chose to be here for that 40-year-old man or woman, young person in Iran. Thank you on their behalf. They want to keep talking to you. They want to keep talking to you. Please make yourself a little available. I know you don't have time. I'm going to ask Marcus to say thank you, Marcus. I won't obligate you, so if you consider keep talking, you want to hear, and so patiently, and sometimes impatiently. I want to ask you, please continue talking to 40-year-olds. They need that courage. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a movement. The movement Prince Reza Pahlavi is leading with the flag. Let's all get behind it. Let's all get behind it. Move forward. And let's do this in the best way we can, not just for the people in Iran, but for a better world. Thank you. And God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. در پنل پایانی با عنوان امکانات و موانع همبستگی ملی در اینجا دعوت می‌کنیم از آقایان ممنونم از شما. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. آقای مهندس مسعود عزیزی، یکی از برنامه‌ریزان و مهندسان تامین سوخت اتمی برای سفینه‌های دورپرواز فضایی در سازمان ناسا. از آقای مهندس عزیزی لطفاً خواهش می‌کنم تشریف بیارن. آقای دکتر علی نیری، فیزیکدان نظری، استاد دانشگاه، از بنیانگذاران گروه مطالعاتی ایران در دانشگاه MIT. آقای دکتر نیری. آقای دکتر سعید بشیرتاش، مسئول اجرایی جبهه 7 آبان. آقای بشیرتاش. آقای دکتر رضا سعیدی، متخصص پیوند اعضا در دانشگاه سیراکوز و رئیس بخش پیوند اعضا در دانشگاه نیویورک و عضو انجمن پزشکان و کادر درمان و خانم نگین را، خبرنگار و تحلیلگران سیاسی. اجازه بدید این مسیر رو از آقای مهندس مسعود عزیزی آغاز کنیم و به ترتیب تا خانم نگین را. ممنونم.
با درود به همه عزیزان و سپاس از فؤاد عزیز که دعوت کردن که من بیام در خدمتتون باشم. من امروز یه خلاصه خیلی مختصر از برنامه گذارمون رو که الان در حدود تقریبا نزدیک به 4 سال میشه که برنامه‌ریزی کردیم راجع به مسئله خدمتتون عرض کنم. من خواهش کردم از دوستان که این اسلایدها رو، همش 3 تا اسلاید هست که من می‌خواستم بهتون نشون بدم که در واقع نشون میده که در امید ایران چطوری ما این برنامه رو مهیا کردیم و پیشنهادایی که داریم به حتی به حضور شاهزاده رضا پهلوی هم رسوندیم و در این حال هم با گروه‌های دیگه که برنامه گذار رو اجرا می‌کنن سعی می‌کنیم که در تماس باشیم و اینا رو انجام بدیم. من با اجازهتون وای میسم چون که باید ببینم پشت سرم چیکار می‌کنم و عذر می‌خوام از دوستان که ممکن نتونید ببینید، ولی اصولاً دورنمای کلی دوره انتقالی شامل این 6 تا استپی میشه که اینجا نوشتیم: تضمین تمامیت ارضی ایران و حداقل رسوندن ریسک‌ها و تهدیدها، افزایش حداکثری ایمنی شهروندان، برقراری کنترل نظم، افزایش حداکثری در دست بودن نیازهای حیاتی و افزایش حداکثری تداوم برنامه‌های بحران. So اینا رو اگه برید تو اون اون یکی دیگه اسلاید بعدی لطفاً. این تقریبا بهتون یه اوورویو نشون میده که ما چجوری این اپروچ رو داریم اینجا و از طرف چپش که نگاه کنید میبینید پیش از گذار چه برنامه‌ای هست که باید انجام بشه. اسپسیفیکلی شناسایی تهدیدها، خطرها، ترت‌هایی که ایدنتیفای کردن اونا، ولی با یه ریسک اسسمنت، یعنی اپروچی که ما میکنیم کاتگورایز میکنیم که ریسک تهدیدات چقدر هست هر کدومشون و روی اونا نگاه میکنیم که ببینیم که کریتیکالیتی اینی که باید اونا رو بتونیم کنترلش رو